Okay, so if you flip the page, we need to talk about corresponding parts of triangles. Okay, so if you notice in these pictures, I have triangle ABC and triangle XYZ. The important thing when we're talking about corresponding parts is that the order matters, okay? So A corresponds to X. What does corresponding mean? When we talked about parallel lines, what did corresponding mean with our angle relationships? Close. Same side of the transversal. So what did I say? The same, what's the word? Same position. So right, so remember they looked like this. They were in boxes like this. So that we had the four angles. So this was angle A. Then down here in our parallel lines, corresponding would also be here. So it's the same position, right? Okay. Well, that's the same thing here. Corresponding means the same thing. It has to be the same position. So A corresponds to X. What does B correspond to? Y. What does C correspond to? Z. Okay? Now, here's the habit you need to break right this second. I don't want you to look at the picture. I want you to look at this statement. Because the pictures are going to start to get confusing. Because we're going to rotate them. We're going to flip them. Okay? So you need to be able to understand this. But it tells you the same information. Look here. A to X, B to Y, C to Z. Okay? But then I can also say that the segments are congruent. So let's write here in the box the angles we just say, I say congruent, I mean corresponding. So let's write the angles that are corresponding. Okay, we said A, they gave us A is corresponding to angle X, right? Now, I'm ignoring the picture because I told you not to do that. What else? Angle B is corresponding to what? Good. And angle C is corresponding to Z. Now, we can also talk about the sides that are corresponding. Again, we can look here at these statements. So I'll start and do the first one for you. AB is corresponding to AB, XY. Very good. BC is corresponding to YZ. And then what's the last one? Don't look at the picture. AC corresponding to XZ. Good. Okay? I know you're going to want to look at the picture, but the pictures are going to start to get very complex. Now, we can do that also with other figures, like quadrilaterals. So can you do the same thing with quadrilaterals? I want you to list the angles that are corresponding. I want you to use these statements, though, please. Okay? And the sides that are corresponding. How many angles am I going to have now? 4, because it's a quadrilateral. Okay? List the sides and list the angles. Okay, so congruent figures. Congruent figures means that all the pairs of corresponding angles, we just talked about that, and all the pair of corresponding sides are congruent. What does congruent mean? Same measure. They have the same measure. Okay? They have the same measure. All right, so let's look down here at this picture. Notice that in this picture, we've already started to rotate things around, but I have this nice handy-dandy congruent statement that's going to help me answer all of these questions. So I'm going to help you out, and we're going to start. I'll do the first one with you. Angle BAC. BAC is congruent to what?
QPR.
Good. Think you can do the rest on your own? Go. Any questions on this? Okay, everybody should be doing 1 through 4, please. Then we're going to talk about it. You ready? Okay. All right, let's give me some answers here. Angle A is congruent to what? Angle T. When you're answering these questions, what are you looking at? The what? What letters? Where? There's letters everywhere. Be more specific. This, right? I don't want to look at this. This is confusing. I have no idea what goes with what. Okay? I'm looking at the congruence statement. Okay? So VT corresponds to what? AC or CA is fine. Okay? Triangle VTU is congruent to what? CAB. All right, now let's talk about this notation. Ziamar, did you have a question about number 3? No, number 4. Okay, just number 4. Okay, what do you notice is different between 2 and 4?
One is a side.
Doesn't have the line across, which means not like segment.
Okay, what does VT with the line over it mean? Segment. What does BA? When we asked you on a test, find BA, what did we want you to do? Measure. What is the measure of BA? 8 centimeters, exactly.
Okay.
What's the matter?
Because I had mine, I think Delson asked me this morning, but won't the measure of BA be equal to the measure of
BT, UT, yeah. Okay, let's look at the bottom 2, A and B. I'll do A with you, and then you're on your own to do B. All right, so the fun part, the way I'm going to make these problems difficult is I'm going to put a whole bunch of pretty ladies and handsome men on these pictures, okay? What do I mean by that?
What?
Jinx. What does she mean by pretty ladies and handsome men? What do we call them?
Distractors, right? There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff on here that you don't need. A lot of you on the test, okay, for Unit 4 said, oh, well, this is on the diagram, I must use it, and you had this equation that was like 14 terms long, and you set it equal to 180, okay? This information here is to distract you. You've got to pick out the information you need. Okay, so I'm going to tell you my strategy, which you're going to love and use. Okay? All right, so it says find the value of x. Where is x in these 2 pictures? What is it associated with, an angle or a side?
Side.
Side, what side? GH. I'm going to highlight GH. Okay? Now I told you you're not allowed to look at the picture, so I'm going to come over here and look at my congruent statement. I want to look at GH. What does GH correspond to? What side? LM. So now I'm going to highlight LM. So LM. Okay. Now, I want to solve for x. So when we're solving for x, we have to set up an equation. Okay? This says that these 2 figures are congruent, which means all the corresponding parts are congruent and their measures are equal. So what is the equation I can set up to solve for x?
2x minus 3.
8. What about 10? No, it's a distractor. Okay? Now, you guys are great algebra students.
It's
So
So that's just going to be, or you could leave it as 11 over 2, that's fine. Okay? So highlight the information, figure out is it talking about sides or angles, then go to your congruent statement to figure out what it matches up to, set up the equation, and solve. Okay? And I'm sure someone else did this. If the measure's on the outside, that's the side. This measure is a side or an angle? An angle, okay, so be careful. This is, and how else would I know that this is an angle? The degree sign, okay? So be careful when you're doing that.